All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another Green Square Talks Battlebots prediction podcast. So, we are now 7 episodes into the season. I'm presenting you the 7th fight card of the 7th World Championship of Battlebots here, and this season's been awesome so far. We've seen several great fights, quite a few stacked fight cards, and just the competitive field has just been off the charts amazing this season, and we're only at the beginning of it. We're gonna see so much more coming. So yeah. So this fight card features 7 more great matchups, several robots getting their second fight of the season, along with 2 robots on this fight card who are not just looking who don't just have their third fight, but are looking to get their third win of the season. So we could see up to 2 robots going 3-0 by the end of this episode, which is crazy to see. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get underway with this right away. This is a pretty good fight card, but yeah, if you like what you see, like and subscribe as usual. Comment down below your predictions. I always love hearing what you all think of the fight card and lots of your predictions for this thing. It's so awesome to hear that stuff, and yeah, so, Bloodsport and Gigabyte to lead it off. This is going to be awesome. We got a battle between horizontal spinners. I love a good horizontal spinner battle. And 2 of them somewhat like full body spinners. Because, like, Bloodsport, it technically isn't a full body spinner because it's not like a shell spinner or anything like that, but the bar reaches all the way around. So, I technically call it that. Then we got Gigabyte. So, both of them coming off of pretty brutal losses, I would say. Bloodsport with that one hit KO loss to Copperhead, and Gigabyte who got bodied by free shipping for most of that first match. So yeah, and I heard a lot of people criticizing the new drivers of Gigabyte, including I know some people on Discord who were criticizing the drivers of Gigabyte. Like basically how I kind of see this is like same situation to Lucy, which Valkyrie was talking about on social media. Like they're new drivers to this. They don't get a lot of driving time. Got to give them the benefit of the doubt at least. Now, sure, John Mladic was definitely shown to be a superior driver, but basically where I'm going with this is like their driving is bound to improve. Like, got to give them a chance like this, and like there's no reason to criticize. But anyway, as for this fight, basically, I think it's going to come down to who can take the shots better between the 2 of them, which really could go either way, in my opinion. So, yeah, I feel Gigabyte probably has the design advantage in this one, with the fact that they're almost certainly going to be coming with a cone-shaped full-body spinner, like they have for several horizontal spinners, rather than like the vertical spinner configuration that we have seen in several of their fights last season. So, uh, yeah. So, but then I think Bloodsport's big advantage is that I would consider their weapon probably the more reliable, and I think they have the edge in driving because I like Justin's driving at least. And while Gigabyte's driving definitely needs some work, just take some practice because like Valkyrie said on social media, the best way to get better at driving is just to keep driving. And yeah, so, as for my prediction, this could go either way, I think. And I think we're going to see a monster of a leadoff fight. I'm going Bloodsport for this fight. But I could absolutely see this one going to Gigabyte as well. Like I said, it's going to come down to who can take the other shots better between the 2 of them. And that could go either way. Fight number 2, Claw Viper and Overhaul. And I will say this right off the bat, this is one of the fights I'm most looking forward to in this episode. I'm most looking forward to the main event, of course, but this one I'm also really looking forward to. Combination of the fact that Claw Viper's in it, and Claw Viper's just been absolutely stunning to watch so far. Like Claw Viper's definitely one of the most improved robots in BattleBots this season. Overhaul had a pretty good start too. So like both robots are currently undefeated right now. Claw Viper with pretty dominant wins over both Ominous and Ribot, and then Overhaul with that victory over Starchild in their first fight, and what was a lot more entertaining of a fight than what I thought it was going to be. So Yeah, and I'm also looking forward to this one because like I love a good control bot on control bot battle here. Because like I am one person who thinks that Claw Viper and Defender from last season was an underrated fight. Because like I did enjoy that fight a lot, and like some of you might disagree. That's totally fine. It's just like I love seeing fights like that, and I think this is gonna be epic. So as for this one, I'm going Claw Viper here. I'm predicting Claw Viper is going to end this fight 3-0. So basically, these are two very similar designs. Going to try to grab each other, grapple the other, and take them around the arena. Basically, this one's kind of going. This one's going to come down to both ground game if they have to go head on with each other. Who can have the lower ground? I'd probably give that edge to Overhaul, to be honest. But Claw Viper could absolutely take that one too. But then the other one, which is why I'm going Claw Viper on this, how well can Overhaul keep up with Claw Viper? Because like I'd say the hardest thing with Claw Viper this season, the thing that surely Ominous and Ribot have the hardest time with when taking on Claw Viper this season, is just keeping up with Claw Viper. Because like that thing is fast this year, and those first two fights just show it. Like Charles is definitely a great driver. There is no doubt about that. And I will never deny that one bit. But like man, he like this is going to be like speed on another level that Charles probably hasn't fought against. And like yeah, I suspect this is going to be a close battle. I think this is going to be. I think this one's going to be a lot closer than Claw Viper's first two fights. I'm hoping for a back and forth showdown out, and that's something I love to see, like out of control bot battles at least, and just Battlebots fights in general. So, but yeah. I'm expecting either a judge's decision or one of these two robots is going to get stuck somewhere and get caught out that way. And I'm going to lean towards Claw Viper because of that speed, but this should be an epic driving battle between two great drivers. So all right, moving on. We got Horizon and Monsoon. And Monsoon revealed on social media earlier today their configuration for this fight. They have a wedge configuration for this season, which is to deal with horizontal spinners. Give them some little extra protection up front, just because they have struggled with horizontal spinners in the past, like when they fought Son of Waiachi and Valkyrie, for example. So Horizon will be a good test for the horizontal armor, or like even though Horizons definitely didn't seem like the most effective as spinner bot, horizontal spinner bot in the competition, it's still a good opportunity to test out that armor configuration. Because like, what happens if like Horizon manages to damage that wedge? Basically, you're gonna want to adjust it. You're gonna want to adjust if Monsoon was to like get a rematch with Valkyrie, fight Gigabyte, fight Triton, something like that. If they were to fight just another horizontal spinner in general, well, like they'll want to know from this fight, does that configuration work for them? They did confirm that they are still fully invertible, and their weapon, they're able to adjust it still, even with that armor configuration. So yeah, as for this one, like definitely Horizon definitely showed in their first fight they had some work to do, but Horizon's another one where like they're gonna face first round gremlins. You gotta give them another chance. Including Alex did mention on my podcast from the episode review from their fight with Shreddit Bro that like they did improve the robot. Like there were definitely some errors that hurt them a bit in the Shreddit Bro fight, but they were able to work through a lot of those issues for this fight and continue to improve their robot for all their upcoming fights as well, because we know they have two other pretty big opponents later on in the qualifiers. And yeah, so basically for this one, I'm gonna lean towards Monsoon because like Monsoon, like even though it lost that fight to Black Dragon, that bar spinner had proved to be as devastating as ever. Right there, like it managed to land hit after hit, very nearly got the knockout blows, and managed to KO Black Dragon for the first time, at least. But then, unfortunately, some bad luck, and sucking up a weapon, sucking up a bolt, like caused their weapon to fall in that fight. So, like, I'm gonna predict Monsoon wins this one. I think this fight's gonna end pretty quickly, in my opinion. Here, I'm predicting we're gonna start off with some weapon on weapon action. But then I think eventually Monsoon's gonna break something in Horizon, and Horizon's not gonna be able to move from there. But yeah, I hope we'll get to see a bit of a competitive fight here because that's something I absolutely love to see. Okay, fight number 4, the Midway Majors, Starchild and Mammoth. This is an interesting one because basically this one doesn't spark to me as like a Midway Major level fight, making at least on paper this doesn't spark to me as a Midway Major level fight. But Battlebots typically likes to throw a good one in there, making me think something's gonna happen here. Not well, it also could be maybe the hype because it's two of the bigger robots going up against each other. But yeah, so both these robots are off to 0-1 starts. Starchild lost a bit of a somewhat close judge's decision to Overhaul, and then Mammoth unfortunately fell apart against Valkyrie. So yeah, so this is going to be an interesting one. Two battles of the big boys once again. Mammoth has a little bit of experience with this type of robot, because like Starchild does have a couple similarities to Huge, just instead of a vertical bar spinner like what Huge has, Starchild has has a swinging vertical spinner like basically somewhat like Sawblaze, because like Starchild compared their robot to their weapon system to Sawblaze, is at least in that intro video. So how I see this fight going down, either look, because like what I just want to say right here before I share my prediction, like this is just such an awkward fight for honestly both robots, just because like these are two designs where like they're two that are just so much more different from the rest of the competition. Are two of those robots where you think like, how are you gonna fight that thing? Kind of, which is one of the things that other teams which is some stuff that other teams have struggled with when taking on robots like Mammoth, Starchild, Huge, and so on. So yeah. So how I see this fight going down, basically, I'm predicting Starchild for this one. What I worry most about Mammoth in this fight is like if Starchild could hit something very important with that vertical spinner, like in that structural area on Mammoth, and if they get to one of those points, Mammoth's probably gonna collapse during that, and that's kind of what I'm going for in this one, at least with that prediction. But Mammoth has always come out of nowhere with some surprising victories in the past, including and like the other thing I could see happening here is just that Mammoth just bodies Starchild around, just pushing them around, sending them flying with the lifter, maybe sending themselves flying like they did in the Huge fight. Regardless though, like I think we're in for a pretty treat of a matchup here. And yeah, I could see this one going either way as well. Next up, Triton and Copperhead. So Triton coming off of a little bit of a disappointing loss to Lucky, and then Copperhead, who had a devastating one-hit KO against Bloodsport for that first fight of theirs. And yeah, as for this one, I'm going Copperhead once again here. I think Copperhead's gonna be undefeated coming out of this one. Basically, with this one, I'm just gonna say this right at the bat. I think this one's gonna also end quickly too. I'm not sure which. I think this one's gonna be a quick KO for one of these robots. Not sure. Could go either direction maybe, because like Triton's another one where I think they had some kinks to figure out after the first match. Because like I'm not sure whether their weapon just never got up to full speed, whether the bar was having teething troubles, but just they just didn't seem like they were getting the hits they wanted on Lucky and causing the damage that we know that Deep Six was so capable of. But yeah. So and also gotta admire because gotta admire Scorpios' builder blogs. But you could see in the background of one of the scenes from their pre fight thing with Big Dill that there was a cardboard cutout of Dustin of Deep Six from last season, and that's just incredible. But regardless, though, I think we're going to see a lot of damage in this fight. Whether it's done by one of these robots, done by both of these robots. I'm leaning towards Copperhead on this one because I'm very concerned about the structure of Triton right there. I think there are a lot of juicy areas on juicy frame bits, even weapon area bits on Triton that Copperhead could very easily like put holes into. And I've mentioned this before in the podcast that I could absolutely see Copperhead separating the bar from the body of Triton, at least. And yeah, but on the other hand, Triton could possibly pull this off too, because like their bar spinner, in a way, it's kind of wide. I feel like that bar spinner might be wider than Copperhead itself, but and there are a lot of juicy areas on. There are a lot of corners on Copperhead that Triton could very easily connect with and hit with the horizontal spinner right there. But yeah, regardless though, I think we're going to be in for a quick and destructive showdown between these two robots. And I'm going to lean towards Copperhead. I like Luke's driving. He did a great job driving in the fight with Bloodsport. He's done a great job driving in like the Lockjaw and Fusion fights from last season. And I think regardless whether we're going to see some weapon on weapon warfare or driving match between these two robots, I think I'm going to predict Copperhead for this one. I think it's kind of a safe bet, but I could absolutely see Triton pulling it off too. So, all right, Lucky and Kraken. Not sure why I said Copperhead. Lucky and Kraken. So, yeah, it was mentioned on social media, but this is technically a rematch because in 2019 these two had a basement match against each other. Wasn't televised. It's on the Battlebots YouTube channel. If you haven't seen that fight, check it out. In my opinion, it was one of the more entertaining of the basement fights from that season, and like that's one I would absolutely recommend taking a look at because I think it had some awesome moments, and we really got to see Lucky showcasing the power of that flipper in that fight. So, yeah, so Lucky's already revealed their configuration for this fight. They stacked up on top armor, and I think they had wheel guards, if I remember right from the post. And then haven't heard much about Kraken, but if I took a guess, they're probably going for a not much different configuration than what they did with Beta, basically. Try go for ground game right there, try to scoop up Lucky, and then just drop that spinner on it and try to land some huge hits that Kraken is looking to go for this season. So, yeah. Hopefully we get to see a more mobile Kraken at least, because I know there was a internal issue that was common between Kraken, Shreddit Bro, and I think there was one other team that those two named, where there was just some internal issue that was just affecting all three of those teams' mobility, basically. And it sounds like it was figured out based on what I heard, so I believe we'll be able to see a more improved, more mobile Kraken in this fight. And part of that is why I'm actually gonna go Kraken on this one. Regardless, I think this will be an epic showdown, including battle of the Matt drivers, Matt Olson and Matt Spurk, both phenomenal drivers, and I think we're gonna see a good showdown here. I hope at least, because I do notice this is the second to last fight on the fight card, and like the sixth fight of most fight cards, it's either been it's either been a quick fight or it's just been like a little bit of a low bar fight, kind of, if you get what I mean by that. I don't really want to say bad fight exactly, but like a lower tiered fight compared to like some of the previous ones, if you kind of get what I'm talking about right there. So I'm gonna predict Kraken by a KO on this one, but one concern I do have for Kraken in this fight is this hasn't been tested yet, but can Kraken self-right as easily as they could during in their Crusher configuration, where they are able to just roll right back over? I don't think they could self-right that way, at least this season. I think they could self-right by like using the spinner dropping down, but I don't think that's been revealed, at least as of my knowledge, whether they can self-right. And that's one of my concerns for Kraken, at least, on whether that's the case or not. I guarantee they can self-right. I don't think I should be worried about that exactly, because like definitely the Spurks have done a good job of preparing for scenarios like that right there, at least. Because like ever since they couldn't self-right in 2018, lost a couple fights because of that, they fixed that issue pretty well. And I imagine they thought of that issue. I imagine they thought of self-righting when making this design. So yeah, regardless, I'm going Kraken, and I hope we get a back and forth fight and a pretty good showdown. last but not least, the main event, Minotaur and Cobalt. So this one is a rematch from 2019, also from 2019, and also the fight that I also was the fight in 2019 that was my favorite fight of the entire season. That fight between Minotaur and Cobalt that season just rocked my world. And that's not out of bias because Minotaur is my favorite robot, and I also love Cobalt as well. But yeah, I'm glad to see we get a round two between these two because like I'm expecting we're gonna see some massive hits in this fight, like what we saw the first time. Including I've heard from somebody who attended this live that this is gonna be a good fight from what I'm hearing, and that does not surprise me at all because we got two very powerful robots, two very powerful weapons, two great drivers in Daniel Freitas and David Bolds. Uh, yeah, basically how I kind of see this fight going down. Well, some of the ways I see this fight going down. Minotaur's probably going to be. I'm expecting Cobalt's probably going to have some sort of fort configuration for this fight in order to try to scoop up Minotaur and feed Minotaur right into the weapon. Cobalt's going to be trying to just get some shots on Minotaur. And, like, Minotaur is probably going to want to try to avoid that, try to bend up the forks. Because I imagine if Cobalt scoops up Minotaur, I think that spinner is going to go right through the bottom or the top plate of Minotaur. Because, yeah, I imagine Cobalt would go through that armor faster than they did with Deathroll's armor, at least when Cobalt fought Deathroll. But then Minotaur, it Minotaur probably will try to expose the weakness of Cobalt, where if you bend the forks up or eliminate their ground game capabilities, Cobalt's gonna really struggle to get those hits that I was talking about right there. And I imagine that's what Minotaur is gonna be going for in this. So regardless, I'm expecting it. I'm expecting we're going to see an absolute brawl, and I feel this is either going to end in an out of the arena or a 3 minute fight, like last time they fought, because we got a 3 minute, pretty close judges decision between those two robots. So yeah, this is a tough one to predict, but I'm going with my favorite Minotaur. I'm predicting Minotaur is going to end this fight, end this battle with their third victory. But this is another one where I could absolutely see Cobalt taking the W as well. So I think this will be a phenomenal fight, and I think whoever wins this fight is going to be really looking good as for the postseason and seeding wise too, because you get the idea. So. Yeah, let's go ahead and review predictions quick. All right, here are my predictions. So I'm going Bloodsport, Claw Viper, Monsoon, Starchild, Copperhead, Kraken, and Minotaur for this. I'm predicting Claw Viper and Minotaur are going to end this episode with a still undefeated 3-0. Oh, both of them getting their third victory. Would not be surprised though if their opponents take it as well, because their opponents are each quite powerful too. So yeah, once again, this is another pretty stacked fight card. Several huge names clashing it out. Meaning, I think another great episode is on the way. So, let's go ahead and close this podcast out. So, thanks for watching this podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below what your predictions are. Once again, I absolutely love hearing what you all come up with and how you think this episode is going to go and what you think the fight outcomes are. It's awesome to hear that stuff, even if you don't agree with some of my predictions, which is absolutely cool. Like, I think very rarely when I've looked at lots of y'all's comments and looking at the predictions you all have, I think very rarely do I see somebody with basically like an exact replica of my predictions. So, which is awesome to see because like I say all the time, several of these fights could go either way. So, yeah, that'll do it for this episode, and I'll hopefully see you for the episode review podcast. Bye.